Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox All In channel host Sega Forever here. I just want to do this quick video, kind of give my thoughts on everything that's going on with Microsoft and Xbox right now, especially as it pertains to news that released earlier today about Microsoft closing a couple of Bethesda's studios. Now, I know there are four of them that was closed, but the one I'll probably focus on the most for this podcast is both Gameworks and Arkane. I know a lot of people have been having reactions online. Been kind of busy. Had to work today, so I wasn't able to keep up with everything. But I tried the best that I could, especially on social media, which you guys know was an absolute meltdown for a lot of people in the Xbox community. Not every single person, but quite a bit. Yeah, there's a lot of different takes that people are going to have. I'll give my own. Like I said, this video will not be long because I got other stuff to do. But I wanted to put this out because hopefully I'll be able to do a Wrecking Crew podcast this week. Can't make any promises. I'm really busy. And but if it happens, it'll probably be early Saturday morning as opposed to um, early Friday afternoon for me. For a lot of you guys, around the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hour for the people that join. So it is what it is, guys. You just have a busy schedule, and that's why I'm doing this video now to give you guys an update on the podcast for this week, but also just to talk about everything that was going on. Shout out to Unlimited Productions. He was on it from the jump. When I got up this morning, he was already doing a live podcast. Like I said, I had to go to work, so I couldn't really listen to everything. I kind of listened to it back on playback. And they had a really good discussion on there. E-Rock X was on there as well as Sega Man Tuck and Hebot. So if you guys want to go check out his channel, definitely recommend. They had a lot of good points, man. And I got my own uh, viewpoint on all of this and how it's going. I mean, I was on Twitter. And of course, a lot of people are panicking. So unlike a lot of other people, like I said, I'm not like Chicken Little when it comes to this kind of stuff. That's just the way I am. And plus, we don't. The main point I guess I'll get across with a lot of you guys, especially those of you guys who watch the channel, dude. We just don't know what's going on, right? With all of this stuff, right? A lot of people are speculating. If you listen to a lot of people who are not happy about it, right? They have a more of a negative slant, which I'm not blaming them. You can do whatever you can have. You can feel however you want to feel about the situation. I'm definitely not happy about it. I like Arkane, and I definitely like Redfall. As you guys know, it's one of the games I talked about. It was one of my favorite games last year. I did say that it did have some issues, but one of the things I didn't want Microsoft to do was to cancel it because I think it has a lot of potential. The great thing about Redfall is the actual world that they created. Um, the gameplay was not bad at all. There's a lot of things about the game that could have been improved, and to me, it wasn't out of the realm of improving. Um, and also, just because it got a lot of hate from the jump. I mean, it was a game that some people thought was going to be more than what they got, or expected a lot more from the game. I can understand that. I have no problems with people voicing their opinions about a game, especially if it's personal to them, right? It's their own opinion. It's your time, your money. You spend your money and your time on what you want to do. So if you were expecting a lot from Redfall and then didn't meet your expectations, and then you went back and played another game that you enjoyed more, totally fine with that. The biggest problem, of course, I had with that was the media and then all the hate that Xbox gets anyway. That doesn't help a game like that at all. But I even wrote to Pete Hines when he was still at Bethesda, and I told him, I was like, man, hopefully you guys don't cancel this, dude. There's a lot of potential with this game. But then a possible red flag was that Pete Hines eventually left. Um, and the game seemed to be moving at a kind of a clip because I know there was an update that they did for the game. But where that game stands now, I have no idea. But yeah, keep this in mind as well, guys. Nobody else knows what's going on with it. The only people that know is the guys pulling the strings over at Microsoft. We can sit here and kind of speculate, which is part of the things that we do, right? But I know some of you guys, man. Even if things are a worst case scenario, I mean, there's no reason to like lose your mind over stuff like this. If I'm being honest, um, I mean, you might be disappointed. I know I am about it, but on the flip side, we don't know what's going to happen moving forward. In fact, Unlimited talked about that a little bit, right? Because we don't know. I mean, they could be doing something like it's not 100% that the game is gone, or at least I haven't seen anything in the news to say that the game is gone or anything confirmed. And what I mean by confirmed, man, I'm talking about somebody like Matt Booty. or Sarah Bond or somebody like Phil Spencer to absolutely come on and say, look, we're moving on from the game, right? Even the guys at Arkane, they wrote their little, thing to say goodbye, right? But one thing to keep in mind also is that the game did have some internal issues before it released, and stuff that stuff was going on even before Microsoft decided to release the game, or they acquired them. Right, there was some stuff that Bethesda had going on. It's one of the reasons why Microsoft purchased them, right? And then Bethesda wanted to come under the umbrella of Microsoft, so that this is probably, if you look at everything that was going on and all the issues that was going on prior to the purchase, they had some issues that they were dealing with at the company already, and that's ZeniMax in general, right? So coming on the Microsoft umbrella, right? You get a little bit of security, you get a little bit of support. And I'm not saying that Microsoft didn't support them. In fact, I think they did. They actually put out controllers and stuff like that. I was one of the people who said that they should have done more, but that wasn't, case in point. That's neither here nor there. But I see a lot of potential in Redfall. And if they do anything else with the franchise, maybe they're going to move on to Redfall too. But one of the things I think they can do is they add a 4-player multiplayer thing to it. Because a lot of the thing that was going on with Arkane, if you notice the type of games that Arkane make, they're a little bit they're more on the single player side, very imaginative, right? Character development, right? They believe in the story and stuff like that. They build worlds, they're world builders, right? So coming under the Microsoft umbrella, I think one of the things that they were looking at with Redfall is that they wanted to make it more of an online presence, right? And of course, you heard the stories where some of the people there didn't like it. In fact, some of the people that worked on the game actually left. Right, and there was comments made after the fact, but that's not something Microsoft can control. In fact, Microsoft is a little bit soft in my opinion when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Right, and then they made the decision to release it, and I thought it was a good decision. What I think they should have done was give it a multiplayer aspect. Like a lot of you guys know, Diablo 4 is on Game Pass right now. I finally played it. I actually like it. There's a lot of things about Diablo 4 that I like, that I know some Diablo fans don't. I do like the open world stuff. I like the events, because I'm not bothered by it if I participate or not. Now, if I was being forced to do some of this stuff, of course I wouldn't like it. If I was being forced to buy some of the stuff, I can just walk away from that. I mean, it has to be something that I really want. You have to sell yourself to me, dude. I just don't throw my money at stuff, regardless of how good the game is or how much of a fan of something I am. Something's got to really speak to me for me to buy it, right? Because I am a collector at the end of the day. But in the terms of Arkane Studios, man, I think that's something that they should have really looked at. If money was an issue, and by money, when you talk about Microsoft, you guys got to keep that in perspective. Right? When Microsoft talks about money, it's profit. When most people talk about money, it's not having it or trying to maintain. Right? Microsoft is not in that league. In fact, I put on Twitter, I tweeted the realist, man. We were talking about this when it comes to Microsoft money. They're a $1 trillion company, so I don't really worry about them or the future of Xbox. They think along different lines when it comes to ending a brand or discontinuing a service, or in these points, how they're going to get rid of some of these, or some of these studios, or even possibly some games later on in the future. I don't look at it in that type of way, right? So I said to the realist, they're a $3 trillion company. I'm on a different financial scale than they are, right? Like they'll be fine. I'll hold up the drive-through at McDonald's just to connect to my app. So I can get the points. That's the financial world I live in. So two very different things that a lot of you guys got to keep in mind. Everything's not a zero-sum game, right? A lot of that is them forward thinking. I think right now they do have a little bit too many hands in the pot, right? I think they should let Sarah and they should let Phil and they should let Matt do what they do, and I think they are to some extent. But you guys gotta also keep in mind, man. I say this on this channel all the time, and I know a lot of you guys think I'm some right-wing nut job. But it's just the way that it is. These people are bulletproof anymore. There was a time in the tech industry that they could get away with doing certain things. Right? Some of these big names like Google, your Microsofts, Apple, and all these things. But everybody's pinching pennies. Everybody's cutting corners, dude. I work for the government, dude. Even they're doing that. In fact, Tuck was talking about that because Tuck works for the government as well. And he was talking about what the government's doing. They haven't laid anybody off. What they do is they do hiring freezes. Right? So like right now where I work, we have positions that we need, but nobody there to fill them, so then people got to do overtime. And I know overtime is usually a good thing, but overtime in the sense of there's an overload with some of the work that gets spread around, right? So you're spread thin and everybody's working more, right? You get overtime and stuff like that, but for the most part, man, you're just trying to maintain, and you're not going to get a raise out of it. You might get a bonus, right, depending on what company you work for. Like I said, I work for the government, so there's rules and regulations they got to go by and stuff like that. But again, nobody's bulletproof, and this is the world that we're living in. And I know the news doesn't tell you guys this every day, right? But you guys need to start opening up your eyes to see what the reality is. Right? And I know there's some people that got it good that don't have to worry about it, but you also have to look at the economy as a whole, right? Because when there's people struggling, it can have societal effects. And that's where people that have a lot or don't have to worry about money, that's where they get involved, right? Because when like I said this in another video, like you want to go out to eat, but you can't get a seat or the wait is long, right? You go to check in at the restaurant, they don't have enough help. What happens? You end up waiting, instead of waiting like 15, 20 minutes, you end up waiting 45 minutes to an hour and a half, right? The cost of everything's going up. So this is the stuff that they're dealing with, man. Across all the things, dude, you got to talk about how much you got to pay on your employees, how much development costs are. I mean, the stuff that Microsoft does, or especially with these AA or AAA games, man, there's no slouch. This is why you see the indie market growing, dude. That's like an area where people can go to, right? It's almost like a gig economy in the gaming industry, right? That's what people are funneling to, right? But how long is that going to last, dude? People are broke, man. So just keep that in mind when you see Microsoft making these deals, dude. Even though they're a gigantic $1 trillion company, they have to make profit. They have to keep like unlimited sets. He's absolutely right. There's shareholders involved, dude. There's stocks involved. There's stuff like that. I'm not saying that's the best thing, right? But a lot of people out here calling for Phil Spencer to be fired, Sarah Bond to be fired, Matt Booty to be fired. Dude, they have no control over the economy and some of this stuff, dude. And if you look at their record and if you look at it honestly, they've done a lot for Xbox and they've done a lot for Microsoft. Right, a lot of the stuff that we have that we enjoy, I enjoy, right, as an Xbox guy in their ecosystem that owns all their consoles and a bunch of controllers, plays their games, right. Aside from this news dropping, if you just play games, man, you'd be fine. They got so much stuff coming out, dude, that to simply just sit there and say that you need to replace these people, like to a lot of people on Twitter, I was like, okay, so who are you going to replace them with? Who's going to fill those shoes? Because if there's a move like that that's made, it's usually going to be something that's not good, right? They're going to probably bring in a money guy. I don't think Microsoft is in that bad a way, but what I think they are, just like every other industry, every other company, every other industry across the board, what they're looking at is their bottom line, right? So there's probably stuff coming from Microsoft corporate, And let's be fair, man. I mean, Phil, Matt, and Sarah, dude, they're killing it on the Xbox front. But on I'll be honest with you guys, man, this is why you have the money people, right? They have to also look at that kind of stuff. Xbox has been given this open checkbook, man, but they didn't foresee this economy happening, right? Again, people just don't have that disposable income. I talked about this on numerous of these videos that I've been doing on my channel. Dude, disposable income matters when it comes to stuff like this, dude. If you want to occupy the space, dude, if you want to, whether you want to make this a career, whether you want to just be a fan or a consumer, dude, you got to keep all of this stuff in mind. Man. Nothing is bulletproof. Hey, what's up, Zobi? I'm just doing a quick one today. The news this morning was heartbreaking. I mean, it was, dude. Look, I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love Hi-Fi Rush, man. It's one of the most refreshing titles that's come along in a long time, dude. That was that's an amazing game. I don't think they're going to pull it off. They're not going to lose it. But, of course, the odds of them doing a second one, we'll see, man. I mean, from what I'm hearing with all of this kind of stuff, it's not like they're shuttering the studios, man, but a lot of these people are being absorbed. Also, keep in mind, man, I think his name is Shinjo Miyakami. Miyakami was the one that, if I'm wrong, dude, please correct me. But he's the one that created that studios, and he left. Another red flag, right? So there were probably a lot riding on this game. And if you've seen the numbers and how they sell, how the game sold, right? And I'm pretty sure, and it was on Game Pass, so that was another cushion for it, right? But the odds of them doing a sequel, right? Probably not in the books. But again, let's also keep this in mind. A lot of other people, well, I'll say that people were expecting a sequel, but maybe that wasn't in the cards anyway, right? Regardless of how the game sold. When you look at the guy who made the game, dude, that was kind of his magnum opus. You could tell, man, when he talked about it, dude, he loved it. And it's an amazing game. It's an amazing game. And it's my understanding that Miyakami is actually, or Mikami, I gotta look up his name, but the dude who created Tango Gameworks, right? I think he started a new studio, right? So he could be pulling people from Tango Gameworks. We don't know all the stuff that could be happening, right? So I'm hoping for the best, man. I'm hoping that they actually keep the guy that actually created this game, and then maybe he can roll up into another studio, and then it can happen later on. Because I definitely suffered from. I definitely had nostalgia, dude. I definitely had deja vu is a better word, right? With Hi-Fi Rush, man. It reminded me so much of Sunset Overdrive. That's all I was thinking of today, man. How great that game was, and I never got a sequel, right? Because people hated on Xbox in 2013, and the reality, something I preach on this channel all the time, is starting to set in with a lot of you gamers, especially you hardcore guys, man. Is that people do not buy games? They just don't. I've been saying that for a bazillion years now, right? People just don't buy games. You talk about them, right? Most of you guys try and destroy gaming, right? Yeah, or a lot of people are doing it for clicks on their media channels and stuff like that. I understand all that kind of stuff, but I see it in real time. But at the end of the day, dude, you guys are not supporting. You guys are not supporting the culture of gaming. In fact, I said this multiple times, right? It seems like we're going backwards. Like gaming is niche. In fact, it's getting more niche now than it was when I first started gaming. That's what it feels like to me. Because you have all this content, right? And all this content is great, right? But nobody's supporting it. This is why Microsoft has ID at Xbox. This is why Microsoft has Game Pass to have people to come in because the economy does matter. People, this is a disposable. People don't have disposable income, and it is something that I think people called it a luxury, right? That we get to do these kind of things, man. At the end of the day, you're not gonna die without your games. It's not like air. It's not like food. Those are real world things, right? This is not, right? Even though we love and enjoy it. Right. But then when you're looking at, like Phil Spencer likes to say, 3 billion people playing games, but how are they playing their games? How are they contributing to the gaming economy? Right, stuff like that. Which is kind of nil, to be honest with you. I think we'd be in a better spot if the economy was better, right? But it is what it is. But people just broke, man. So yeah, I mean, it is. I'm not happy about it because I think Tango Gameworks had an opportunity to be that company that did the double A and the single A type games. Because, like I say on my channel all the time, I'm all about the content when it comes to Microsoft right now because they have Game Pass. Looks like Microsoft might be going a different route. But again, I can't really see it at either because we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes. For the arcane thing, we can kind of speculate a little bit more, right? A lot of those people left. Maybe they didn't want to be bought up by Microsoft. Maybe they didn't like the direction Microsoft was going, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it was negative, right? People make choices in life, dude. You know what I mean? There's people there that maybe they wanted to be a little bit more creative and hands off, and maybe they're working at someplace else. Right. The sad part is what happened with Redfall because to me Redfall didn't get that fair shake, and I really hope that Microsoft does not get rid of that game. I hope what they're doing is that the people that worked on it, they're going to make it a better game. And if making it live service, I would make it live service. I would make it just like Diablo 4. That's what I would do with, not in the same way, but because they are action games, right? But keep it like Redfall, the way that it plays. You maybe update the gameplay a little bit more. But as far as the world is what I'm talking about, man, make it interactive, make people in and out. But the first thing they need to do, man, if they go with this game, is they need to make it 4 player, drop in, drop out. They have to make it like Left 4 Dead. They have to make it like that, or like I'm playing Warhammer Dark Tide right now. They have to make it like that. Right? That game was made to be that way, and I think that was one of the problems that the original people, um, the original creators behind that. I understand that. Look, dude, Arkane Studio makes some really great games, dude. I'm not saying they don't, right? But it was something that Microsoft should have put their foot down on and let them know, look, this is what we want. This is how we want it. And Microsoft's gonna need to start trying to make money on this stuff. If it's about a profit margin, which I don't think, honestly, guys, I don't really think it is. I just think people just weren't happy. I don't think Microsoft. I hope Microsoft is not getting rid of these titles, man. They could build off of them. These things should be franchises, if I'm being honest, dude. And for those of you guys who think that's ridiculous, dude, I come from the 8-bit era, so I know what I'm talking about. There are games that some of you guys would look at now that you guys play on current systems, right? And you look at now, and you're like, oh my gosh, is this how this game started off? It's ridiculous. What game did you play? Must it be?
Which one?
Was it Fallout? You played the original Fallout?
Not yet.
Oh, the one that was on the PC? You just looked at it?
I downloaded it, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Like the original Fallout. Go back and play that game. For those of you guys who are enthralled by the TV series and are playing Fallout 4 right now, or Fallout 76. Go try and play that original game and see how far we've come. That's what I'm talking about, man. You live in a generation right now of people who game, man. They're not gamers. So that's what I mean by that. But Nintendo's extremely successful right now at Xbox. Zobi, man, I'll be 100% with you, dude. So, Nintendo, if all we had was Nintendo, gaming would die. It would die, or it would be like even more a more niche thing than we have now. It's just like you telling me that Nintendo is extremely significant and stuff like that. It's like me telling you if the only movies we had to watch were Disney movies, right? Disney makes really good movies, not just animated, right? They make good family movies. They do some stuff when they were in the when they used to do a what is it, Beneventura? When they had their no TriStar, right? TriStar Pictures, right? Where they did a little bit more adult stuff, but still kept it family friendly, right? But that's just one niche in the entirety of everything that's come in cinema, right? And that's the same thing with video gaming. I don't have nothing against Nintendo, dude. Right? They found their niche and what they like to do. I didn't mean little belittle and is little, but you know what I'm saying, right? They have a certain type of audience, right? They make a certain type of game, and people like that. Also, please keep in mind, man, Nintendo, it takes them a long time to put out games. That's not going to be enough for the entirety of the gaming industry, dude. Not everybody plays Nintendo, right? Pokemon's successful. It's the same thing. Like Microsoft has Minecraft, Microsoft has Halo, Microsoft has Gears of War, right? But but all the normies, as we know, do they play COD? Like Unlimited them was talking about, they play GTA, right? They play those type of games. Right? That's not answering the question. No, I mean, I don't know what your definition of successful is. That's why. To me, extremely successful is actually being on the level of either Sony or Microsoft, and I don't put Nintendo on that level, right? Because Nintendo doesn't push the industry. They don't push the tech, and they don't have to. I'm not saying they have to. And now you have to deal with PC also. So to your question, um, but the Nintendo extremely successful right now. I mean, I think they're successful for what they do, right? Like to me, if you look at some of the streaming services, right? Like what does everybody watch? That Tubi. There's a streaming service that's free that people watch and talk about all the time. But for me, it doesn't work out for me, right? Because when I try and watch stuff, it doesn't stream well, right? Then I have Netflix, and I just go to Netflix. That's what I'm talking about. It's to me, it's apples and oranges. I don't put Nintendo in the same category, even though they're all, because Sony and Microsoft and Sony are two big companies, and then Microsoft is the biggest of all. Like, I don't think Microsoft would be successful copying Nintendo. I don't think Nintendo will be successful copying Microsoft. They're two different beasts. Like to me, when Microsoft does a game, and some people compare it to the Nintendo game, to me they do it because they're trying to push content out and trying to get people to come into their ecosystem. That's Microsoft's entire goal, is to get everybody in their ecosystem. So I don't worry about the profit loss thing. In fact, Phil Spencer talked about that. It's because their profit loss model has to do with their ecosystem. Again, I'm not saying that Nintendo's trash or anything like that. Dude. Nintendo's proven, right, that they have a winning formula. I just wouldn't compare the two. In my opinion, dude, you can disagree with me, bro. But when it comes to these games, you know, like you said, the economy is the reason why Xbox is failing, but Nintendo doesn't have that problem. Well, everybody has that problem, bro. Right? Everybody has that problem. Just that Nintendo has a problem with the economy because they'll never grow beyond where they are. Nobody is, honestly. This is why you hear everybody talking about it's tapped out. I don't think it's tapped out. It's just that people don't have disposable income at this point. You know, I will say Nintendo's overhead's probably not as high, nowhere near as high as Sony and Xbox. The Sony and Xbox just operate on a bigger scale, but they're successful. Nintendo's successful. I give them that. Yes, like so. So to me, Nintendo's happy to stay where they are. I mean, if you like that, that's fine. I wouldn't want to be. This is why I don't have a Switch. The last Nintendo game I played was Animal Crossing. Didn't like that at all. Because they started nickel and diming on that one, dude. When you play a game, when you played the previous Animal Crossing, everything was in the game. And then what they were doing, at first I thought maybe just because their production, right? What they were trying to do was they're going to just release it in pieces. But then they started charging for stuff. And I couldn't believe it. Like that bothered me more because Nintendo doesn't normally do that. You know what I'm saying? And then I was playing it because of my daughter. Like we both, I mean, I love Animal Crossing too, right? And if I'm being honest with you, dude, I fell off of Nintendo after the GameCube, right? Because they had games on there that I played. I know they brought Pikmin back, which is cool. And then on top of that, dude, I can't play handhelds. Plus, I've gotten too used to playing online, connecting with people a lot more easier. Like when me and my daughter used to have to connect online, you have to have a code. We'd always be getting dropped, and I have Wi-Fi. We're playing on Wi-Fi. It's not like we're going anywhere. So it's not someplace I enjoy, man, that in playing anymore. And then my daughter's grown up. My daughter and my son. My son left gaming a long time. He's on the PC side right now. My daughter, she's playing like regular, like she's on her Xbox all the time. And if she's not on Xbox, she's on mobile. I mean, Nintendo, stay Nintendo, dude. If you're happy with their product, right? And like I said, I'm we'll wait and see what Microsoft does or Xbox does. Hopefully, those games don't go away, man. Because Redfall has a lot of potential, has a lot of upside, dude. If they do a drop in and out type gameplay like Left 4 Dead, continue to build on the world, right? Make them a little bit more interactive. Because that game to me, it was made to be played with other people. Especially when you start leveling up in the abilities, you can play it single player. And that's another thing too. I think that was the problem, right? They were kind of they didn't commit to one or the other, and it was too hard for them to commit to both. But given some time, that game could be incredible, dude. It's an incredible world, has an incredible story. Premise is great. Something that's different as opposed to the zombie stuff that I like to play. But one of the things that's hallmark for Arkane, dude, the characters have a like you end up liking the characters, man. If they could flesh out some of the story, especially with the scripting and stuff like that, make it a little bit more encompassing as far as the world. Just like I said, that's why I use Diablo as an example. Diablo, the newest Diablo that I've been playing. I kind of like that there's world events going on. It makes the world seem like more alive, and I think that's something that Redfall could benefit from. Um, and then on the flip side with Hi-Fi Rush, man, dude, you just need games like that, dude. This is why I love Game Pass, right? Game Pass is just like turning on Netflix, dude, and finding some obscure B movie that's on Netflix, and then you end up liking it. Like, what's it called? Spectral Warriors was the name of it. And I just looked at it. It looked something that was interesting to me. I just basically watched it on premise, and I was shocked by it, dude. I mean, it was actually pretty clean. I mean, it's definitely a B-rated movie, dude, but the effects were pretty clean. It was basic, right, and stuff like that. But you can see that even though it's a budget type movie, dude, what they did was they focused on the specifics that they can make look good, right, and focused on that in the movie, and it plays out really well. It kind of was like a little bit falling apart towards the end with the story, but it held together real nice, dude. So it became one of my favorite movies. Right, I actually bought it. I like this so much. Right. And that's the type of wonderment I talk about when it comes to Game Pass, man, that people are not experiencing. And people aren't experiencing it. I mean, again, like that's why I mentioned the economy too. Because you have to make a commitment to gaming, man. It is what it is, dude. People have no problems buying like these big ass TVs and buying like, brand new phones every year and stuff like that, dude. So, you know, there's just so much stuff that people can do and occupy themselves with, right? I don't know if you saw the news, Zobi, but a lot of people are talking about how people are going more retro now. Not just gaming. I'm talking about entertainment, everything, right? Because it's free. They're finding this stuff free online. So this is the type of thing that these corporations got to deal with in this economy. Right? I know Microsoft is saying fluid and stuff like that. And I know on Unlimited's podcast, there's the dude Metaface Doom who was talking about it, was giving his 2 cents, and I totally sympathize with him. In fact, there's a part of me that thinks Microsoft should bite the bullet on some of this stuff. That's not the most economically sound thing. right? But if it could just weather the storms, if things change in November, right? Hope that would help, right? If you can get somebody um, that's financially astute when it comes to the country, right? Because that's why we're suffering right now. If I'm being honest, right? You got people in these positions of power that don't know what they're doing, right? And everybody's suffering because of it, dude. That's why I said nobody's bulletproof. And I try and be sympathetic for these tech companies, man, but they're a part of the problem, dude. The way that they vote, the stuff that they look at, the things they care about, it's just like the chickens that come home to roost, man. At the end of the day, dude, you're in a capitalistic system, and you're in a economy and an industry that relies on capitalism and an economy, right? Again, this is something like Hiba put it perfectly. It's a luxury. It's a luxury thing, right? And I say it's perfectly done because when it comes to economic times like this, when people don't have money, everything's a luxury. Right? Especially when necessities become a luxury, that's when it gets really bad. Right? So anyway, dude, I hopefully, man, these guys land on their feet. I would like to think. Do you think jobs can be saved if Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and other figures cut their salary to save jobs? No, I mean that has nothing to do with it, dude. That has nothing to do with it. Especially when it comes to Phil, especially because that's not his thing, dude. He's been at Microsoft for so long. I'm pretty sure financially he's fine. He doesn't do this for the finances. Sarah Bond, you can tell that she's more about the gaming. And one thing I worry about Sarah Bond is that she will leave. Because but she doesn't have to be doing just gaming, dude. She has a lot of, dude. There are going to be people headhunting her from other corporations, from other businesses. So I mean, these guys could leave. That's what I'm more concerned about. Not about getting cut, right? And they're the ones that implemented all of this kind of stuff. If maybe if Microsoft wasn't being profitable, but we already seen what their quarters are. The reason why everybody can't stand this is because they are making profit, right? By their own admission about what they're doing, right? About what their quarterlies are, right? They are making money, so that's not the problem. Right? Now a case can be made that they're trying to make even more money, right? So I could see that, but cutting them it won't matter, dude. That's what I was saying to people on X. They'll say, who are you going to put there? Who are you going to hire to fill that role? That'll upend everything that they've been working on, dude. It's an ecosystem now. They did that in Nintendo. Nintendo's want to cut aside to keep employees. Yeah, you know what though? That's why I said Nintendo's different, dude. I mean, if you look at Nintendo, they're like that family business in gaming, if I'm being honest. Right? So he could do that. And I'm pretty sure Iwata wasn't hurting either. Right? These dudes have stock in the company as well. So and kudos to him for doing that, dude. But I mean, these guys, you got to remember, man. Xbox has what 40 plus studios now. So what they'll do, dude, they'll look at it like in a more economic, especially now, dude. Again, in this economy, dude, they're looking at every single thing. Doesn't necessarily mean people are going to get fired or laid off. And what I want to see come out later on, dude, you might see some of these guys working with Mikami them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that could be going on behind the stuff we don't know. The reason why I'm a little bit more on the positive side with this, I mean, as positive as I can be, is just because I'm looking at the overall picture of what Microsoft is wanting to do, and it hasn't really changed. Right? A lot of the stuff that you hear, especially on the negative stuff, is people just making assumptions, like I'm doing right now. Right? We're speculating basically, Zolby. I mean, that's all we can do, because Microsoft isn't going to come out and tell us. Right? In some instances they can't, right, for various reasons. But if we're being honest, dude, we really don't know. So I'm looking at it from the viewpoint of what I know of what Microsoft has said and what they're doing. And some people are a little bit even more harsher than I am, right? Because they're looking at it from the Microsoft perspective. I'm still looking at it from the Xbox perspective, though there's influence from Microsoft, definitely. So Phil Spencer said that Xbox isn't profitable. I never heard him say that. I didn't hear him say that. I heard him say that we're sustainable. But what does that mean? I tend not to really care about. I tend not to worry about them just for the fact that they're over $1 trillion company now. When they're a $1 billion company, I didn't really worry about them in those terms. What we deem profitable, again, this is why I used the McDonald's thing on X earlier today. You know, that example, right? We're in two different financial worlds. What's profitable to a business like Microsoft is unfathomable to us. You know, I'll even go as far as to say some of the people I work with, man. I live in the most expensive state in the U.S. Right, and I got people that are complaining to me too about problems. They're legitimate problems, right? I don't have those same problems because I can't live like they do, right? I don't have to worry about like my air conditioning breaking down in all 4 rooms because I just don't have AC, right? Because if I got AC, it would cost money to install it, especially now, right? But it will also cost a lot of money for the electricity, dude, because my state is absolutely psycho. They want to go green as the population continues to grow here, right? Hawaii was one of these states that we didn't have. We don't have AC is not a standard here, dude. You could come into most people's homes and still find that there's no living room light. When I lived in the mainland, dude, they had living room lights. When I came back, I forgot about that. That's how Hawaii is, and it's still like that, right? So two different worlds, right? I talked to my friend, and he tells me about some of the stuff he goes through. You know, I can't identify. I can sympathize with him, right? But I don't have the same problems he does because he lives in a different bracket than I do, which is fine. I'm not hating on him, bro. You know, people make choices. People decide to live the way they do, right? But that's how I know everybody's hurting, man. Right? It's the little things, right? You could have there's people that have like maybe 50, 70, $100,000 saved up that are penny pinching right now, man, because you just never know. All it takes for a lot of people, right, in this economy is just for somebody to get sick, right? Somebody to get into an accident. Dude, there's a tornado ripping through the Midwest. You know, that's the reality, man. You know, this is probably why Phil. They're gonna start. They're gonna with statements like this, and I don't think it's bad on Phil's part, right? I don't think he wants to overplay it or underplay it, right? It's a tough situation to be in, especially if you're on the Xbox side, right? Because no matter what you say, you're gonna get scrutinized. That's why I couldn't run Xbox. I just wouldn't care. I just would say whatever on my mind. I'd be like Peter Moore. I just roll with it. And I would have tried to dunk Sony a long time ago. You know, it's funny because you know this is more from what I've seen. It's mostly on the Xbox side, right? Which is a good thing because Sony people have their own things to worry about. Right now. So most of the drama I've been dealing with is on the Xbox side. How these people feel, their concerns, which is fine, dude. You know, I'm not here to sugarcoat anything, man. I'm just thinking out loud. You know. And again, I'll just reiterate this: the only people that Microsoft or Xbox fans have to worry about is Microsoft. I mean, they'll decide whether or not Xbox continues. But I'm pretty high on the fact that they want to do it, right? Because they gotta stay plugged in. Gaming is still a big industry. I'm not saying they're not going to make changes, but it is what it is, dude. I don't know, man. I'll get off of social media and I'll just go play my games and I'll be fine. You know, I just bought the brand new Like a Dragon. I finally got my hard copy. I was surprised it was hard to find, especially for Xbox here in the States, or here in my state, but it was. I had to go to like 4 different Game Stops to find it, and somebody finally had it. And when I mean find it, I'm talking about like an actual shrink wrap copy, man. I was like, there was one guy trying to sell it to me. He's like, "Oh, I'll talk to." I'm like, "Dude, I want a shrink wrap. I'm paying like $70 for this thing." And I did use my coupons. Like I threw my coupons on there on GameStop. Dude, I forgot all about my points. I just threw it on there. So I think I ended up paying 50 at the end of the day. So that was cool. I just kind of offset it that way. But that's another thing you guys are gonna look at, man. For a lot of you guys out there, man, this is the reality that we could possibly facing moving forward, man. Probably one of the most ridiculous things I've seen today was people canceling their Game Pass because of this. I have no idea what that was all about. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure a lot of them are just haters, right? But even some of the Xbox guys were talking about that. I was like, dude, I mean, if that's where you land your plane, that's on you, dude. But they're still gonna be in Game Pass. You're still gonna be able to play it, right? You got all these other games that are in there. You know, I don't know what the reasoning was behind that. Then other people was like, oh, you're not supporting by having Game Pass, you're not supporting the gaming industry. I'm like, bro, I do both. I don't know what rock you guys live under, man, or how good you have it. When people tell me stupid stuff like that, I just look at them and they're automatically in my not gaming list. They're probably a person that plays video games, right? Maybe, but definitely probably plays COD or Madden or stuff like that. And then maybe the occasional like Ghost of Tsushima or one of these games and stuff like that. But dude, you don't play, you're not hardcore. But I'd be playing games all the time. Right now, I got to break the habit of playing the games over and over that I love. Playing Warhammer Dark Tide, dude. I got some new gear, dude. I'm in there like all the time, trying to level up my weapons. I got to break away from that, dude, and play other games. I was playing Diablo 4 before that, another game that's time consuming. Right? I got COD I could play. Right? I got to get back on my single player games, dude, on my indie games. They're just a bunch of bought up a couple games just because they're going off the Game Pass. I liked them so much, didn't touch it for a while. Right? How's that bad for gaming? I don't understand people's mentality, dude. The gaming community is full of a bunch of fake gamers, dude. That's the problem with gaming. At its core, that is the main problem with gaming. You have a lot of people that are plugged in, at least online, with that. But when it comes down to it, dude, these guys don't play games. They don't buy games, right? And they have the nerve to turn around and tell me like, "Oh, dude, by subscribing to Game Pass, you don't support the industry." Not only am I subscribed to Game Pass, dude, I buy my own games. Most of the games on Game Pass I bought that I liked, which are a lot, right? There's a couple games, dude. I didn't even. I like the game so much. I wanted to support the people. I just waited. I paid full price for it, dude. That's not supporting gaming, dude. You guys got to step up your game, not me, dude. I buy movies in the Microsoft store. I'm Xbox all in, dude. I'm a pro Xbox channel, dude. I buy stuff on Microsoft to support the company. So I don't know what these dudes are talking about. A lot of times when people say stuff like that, dude, they're actually talking about themselves. They're projecting. That's something that's really bad in this current generation, and I'm talking across the board, not just gaming. That's what I tend to do. I listen to people and they start saying stuff and start throwing aspersions at people. I just look at them because I'm like, okay, 10-1, right? Because what sense does that make? How are you not supporting gaming if you have Game Pass? Do you know how many people their games were able to be played and seen that are on Game Pass that wouldn't have been if it wasn't in Game Pass, dude? There's people that talked about it, developers that talked about it. The fact that I did Xbox is still going strong, right? The only thing with the AAA stuff now, like it blows my mind, dude. A lot of you guys are sitting there saying that AAA is the future. This is why Xbox will fail. Now you guys are all singing a different tune now that the reality is hit, and it's hit because the economy went bad. It was already bad. It's been bad for years. If you listen to the guys in this circle, I'm talking about Hebot especially, right? E-Rock Unlimited, Sega Man, Tuck, all of us guys. Um, if you listen to us, dude, we've been talking about this for years. I've been talking it from the sense of because I know Sony's full of crap and that they lie because I've been dealing with these guys for years. I know these dudes never bought their games. I know they don't really play their games, dude. It's just weaponizing console war, right? And plus, they buy their games like their games don't come out for like years, and they're sitting here talking trash, right? But everything was blown out of the water, right? Once Microsoft went with first they did Bethesda, but the kicker was AKB. They went and bought AKB, right? And then that exposed Sony because that's what Sony was funding their games, and that all fell apart. Hey, Dale. Dale, I'm fixing to jump off. I'd love to have you on here, but I got to pick up my son. I will be doing the podcast, or I'm going to try to do the podcast this weekend. It's going to be at a really weird time because my son is. I got a loaded week with my son. We got stuff to do. In fact, I got to go pick him up. It's 4:58. Yeah, I got to go and grab him in a few. Um, Let me see. Sorry, falling by. But yeah, Dale. Sorry, I'd love to have you on because I'd love to hear your thoughts because I know you weren't on the podcast today because you're probably like me. You're busy. I was actually working too. So, hey, Zobi, Zia says, or Dea says, "What's up, Zobi?" Yeah, sorry, Dea, Dea. No worries. Okay. I'll answer this, Zobi. Then I gotta bounce, man. Dude, bro, man. I like. What is this? Why did Microsoft work with Sweet Baby? Yeah, a lot of people are working with them, Zobi. But like I said in my last podcast, I mean that didn't shock me at all because Microsoft don't need Sweet Baby. Microsoft are already a Sweet Baby. Yeah. That's how Microsoft is. They're a big corporation. I will say though that they are believers. Um, you know, again, use the example. I guess it's Asian Pacific Islander Month, and they're out there, promoting that kind of stuff. They want everybody to play games, no matter where you are, what device you have. They send our games over to Sony, right? They do stuff like that. They've always been that way. So, because I have some guys I follow, dude, that were like talking to me about, oh, dude, how can you do that? I'm like, bro, you late to the game, dude. They've always been this way, you know. Which is one of the issues in pop culture, man. You have a lot of people that talk about this stuff, right? Like for me personally, dude, I don't wade into the Warhammer thing because I don't know the entire history of Warhammer. I'll comment about it in more of a pop culture type of style. But I, if I don't know something in depth that I should, then I won't go all in on stuff. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to Xbox, dude, I know Xbox. Because I keep up with it, dude. I'm not like a sage or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that. It's just I keep up with it, man. This is where my gaming is. This is my last rodeo. Dude, if they decide to go, dude, I'm done with gaming. And I can't walk away, dude, because I'm old enough, dude. I've been there, done that. Um, so, but they're already Sweet Baby, and they've always supported this kind of stuff. But the one thing I give Microsoft credit for, as you can see with everything that's going on, they do have a bottom line, right? This is why when you still watch their programs, the majority of people are still Caucasian, right? I'm not saying that I'm anti any race or anything like that. That's just the truth, dude. You if you want to get involved in the industry like anybody else, then I think you need a fair shake like everybody else, man. But it is we have a it's a merit. This society is based on meritocracy, dude. Right, and that's not, and then and especially in these kind of jobs, right? It's more than just being able to do the work or knowing what you're doing, dude. There's also ability applied to it as well, right? Anybody would do that, dude. You see it in sports all the time, right? You might have a 4 star offensive lineman, man, but that all pro future Hall of Famer becomes available on the board, right? Who are you going to take, right? You're going to take that dude. It's just the reality of it, right? There's just some people, right? Everybody could be smart about across the board, but maybe somebody is smart, but they're also very creative, and they fill that gap. Right? It also depends on the needs of the company, right? There's a lot of stuff that you have to factor in. That's why when we do these, when people have these hot takes, man, this is when they got to eat crow later on, man, because they had a hot take and they're totally off because nobody knows exactly what's going on. Right? Again, I'm doing this based on what I see with everything that's going on, as far as the big picture with Microsoft. That's the best we can do. That's what I do. And I think that's the best that most people can do. Right? This is why a lot of times I recommend people listen to the guys in our group, not to just put up their channels, or really not to put up their channels, man, but they come from years of experience in gaming, like you, Zobi, man. That's why I like you on the channel. That's why I like you on the podcast. We might not agree on stuff, right? That's fine with me, dude. I know you're knowledgeable, dude, and I know you're real about the stuff that you believe in. And I'll take that any day of the week, man. Because a lot of people nowadays, dude, there's a lot of Xbox guys I can't listen to, dude. They're fair weather. They don't understand gaming. A lot of these guys are just doing it for clicks. It's sad. But yeah, guys, it's I gotta roll. I'm almost an hour. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I really would have loved to have you on here. If I'm not lying, because I really wanted to know your perspective. I was hoping as I was listening to the podcast that you're gonna jump on at some point, um, and then give your viewpoint. But yeah, guys, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Just wanted to do this quick video. Well, quick. It was like 40 minutes. Zobi, man, thanks for being here, brother. I really appreciate it. Dea, thank you for being here as well. Yeah, Dea's crying. Yeah, sorry, Dea. Yeah, because I have to go, and in fact, I have to leave right now. Today's my anniversary. Oh yeah, that's way more important than this trash. I mean, it's fun to discuss it, dude. This is why I hang out with you guys, dude. I want to get back to doing it from a fan perspective, from a fandom perspective, as opposed to getting the console war stuff. You know what I mean? This is interesting to talk about because there's all kind of ways you can take this, right? We can look at what Microsoft's doing big picture, Right, like somebody came up. I saw what somebody wrote. They're like, maybe they're cutting some fat or consolidating some of their studios, because maybe they are going to pick up Square Enix, right? Because that's the big thing that Microsoft is going to pick up Square Enix. I don't think this is going to. Microsoft is not going to leave the gaming space, and I don't think they're going to stop buying. Am I happy about Tango Gameworks? No, but again, I don't know. There could be other factors that we just don't know about. But definitely, I would like them to still be intact with Microsoft, and bring a sequel to Hi-Fi Rush 2, but more importantly, to bring more content like that, stuff that's outside of the norm, outside of the box, right? I was thinking that's what they're going to do with these studios, right? This is why I'm not negative like other people are, because I think at the end of the day, it might have been like people moving back with Mikami, and then other people wanting to move on, or they're going to get rolled up into other studios to work on other things that they want. Not just helping those studios, like some people are saying, but maybe actually to do or get the chance to an opportunity to have their own smaller studios or go independent. Because this is the stuff that Microsoft does. That's why I'm not that negative on it. If stuff comes out later to prove that wrong, fine. But at the end of the day, Microsoft has 40 studios to have Game Pass, and I'm not hurting. Like I said, once I jump off of social media, dude, all of this stuff goes away because I've been having a hard time trying to figure out, what game I'm going to play tonight. On top of trying to watch all of my other stuff, I'm not hurting. And as Sega Man says, we ain't good over here. But yeah, congratulations on the anniversary. Happy for you guys, man. Yeah, put that first. Dude. That's if there's one thing I learned about all this kind of stuff, right? It's just that I was more hardcore when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I've realized what's really more important. Right. So when everybody's losing their minds, dude, you're having a good time. I know I'm gonna be enjoying this week with my kids. Yeah, no problem, yeah. But let me wrap it up, guys. Xbox All In channel, host Sega forever. We are.